Greetings, everyone. This is Django Fett here, and today we're going to do the start of a brand new series for the Book of Boba Fett. So today I have with me the head honcho of State of Star Wars,
General CJG here.
and the second head honcho.
The main man himself, Captain Henson.
There you go. So this is the first episode that we just watched on December of last year, right before the end of 2021. This episode is called Stranger in a Strange Land, and this was only 39 minutes long, pretty short. And it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, who did the breakthrough episode of the introduction of Boba Fett in The Mandalorian Season 2. So, pretty awesome stuff. So, now let's just get into the discussion, and I'm going to discuss the summary of the episode, and then we'll give our thoughts on the old episode and give our conclusion at the end. All right. So we start with an empty Jabba's palace, and then it goes to Boba in a bacta tank, which is instead of a vertical bacta tank that we're used to seeing, this is a horizontal style. Not a big deal, but Boba's in a bacta tank, and we get visions of his past with his life at Camino first, and then Geonosis as a kid, as he has holding the helmet of his father, Jango Fett, and then him at the Sarlacc pit, and him actually emerging from the Sarlacc pit, digging his way out with a flamethrower, and emerging, and practically just looking like he's dead right then and there. So, what do you guys think about that?
Henson?
Well, first off, getting flashbacks to Camino and Boba holding Django's helmet. Firstly, I did not expect that. Fucking loved it. Any reference to the prequels we get is an A+ in my book. I mean, say what you will about Dave Filoni, but you can tell he is a fan of the prequels, at least. And actually seeing him, Boba, getting out of the Sarlacc pit, I thought was amazing. Made sense, and it was just good all around. And hey, not a good day for Boba Fett, am I right? Gets beaten by a blind man, and then gets his skin burned by Sarlacc acid, and then gets his shit stolen by Jawas, of all things. If you want to talk about being knocked down a peg or two, there you go.
Yeah, so in regards to all that, the flashbacks of the prequels definitely was great. Boba Fett escaping the Sarlacc. Now that was something that was sorely missing in Disney Star Wars right after Mandalorian Season 2 came out. And thank God we finally got it. And yeah, it was definitely a cool scene. Definitely different compared to how the EU did it, where he actually explored the jetpack and he managed to crawl out of the Sarlacc. And he met Dengar. In here, it's actually different, and we'll get to in a bit how. So, but yeah, it was very interesting seeing it. So yeah, the Django.
Right. Yeah, it's just great to see confirmation of Boba, just going through and enough of the EU haters and stuff like that. So, great to see that. So it only gets worse for Boba from there, unfortunately. As in the EU, it was actually not too bad for him after getting out the Sarlacc pit. I mean, he did still do a lot of stuff, other stuff, but still, it's not as bad as what we're going to mention. So he is pretty much looking like he's dead, and Jawas come, and they're not there to help him. They think he's dead, and they strip him of his armor, and Boba instinctively tries to grab at a Jawa, and the Jawa just hits him, and he's knocked unconscious. And then from there, Tuskens come and take him as a prisoner. So not a great day for Boba right there. Ugh.
Nope.
So the difference being with the EU is that once he comes out of the Sarlacc pit, he is aided by Dengar and another woman. And if you've read the Bounty Hunter Wars, you'll know what I mean. I'm not going to spoil it or anything.
Or just watch our podcast.
Yeah, watch our series on that. But it's like kind of, he heals after a day, or I think it was like a couple days, and then he's kind of good to go. But from here, like it looks like on the exterior wise, it's just he's just really scarred up. But I think of course, he's not in a fighting shape at all. I mean, like he just got out of a Sarlacc pit, which is slowly digesting him, so it's not a great thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty tough on him. So as a prisoner, he's taken by the Tuscans. He's dragged by the Tuscans, and he's mocked and abused by children, uh, Tuscan children. Yeah, and so Boba ends up freeing his bonds and tries to escape, and he eventually has to do battle with a Tuscan and gets beaten pretty easily when he tries to escape, as you can expect from the Sarlacc pit. And the fact that he's still standing from the Starlike after a couple days, which is saying a lot. He ends up trying to fight a Tuscan, but he's beaten just to a pulp. Like it's not even close. So that's very un-Boba Fett like, but what can you expect? And that ends. Then it goes to the present, where Boba gets out of his tube and meets with Fennec Shan, who wakes him up. People from all across Tatooine, they come to pay their respects because he's the new crime lord, and they give him like tributes and stuff like that. And he has his armor donned with the help of droids. So he doesn't do it himself now. He just is the help with droids now. So that's unlike Boba. But I think he's still recovering from the wounds of the Sarlacc pit, and you'll see that later on that he's not the same. He's not the same person at all. So people start giving gifts to Boba, and then another person comes. He's the mayor's attendant. I think he's of Mos Espa.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mayor of Mos Espa sends an attendant, and he comes and he says he pretty much gives no tribute to Boba, and he actually wants tribute from Boba to give to him. So that is not a good look right there, and that's very shady stuff. So that's something that could pop up later on with the mayor. We don't know who this mayor is at all, other than this attendant showing up. He could be this other crime lord or something. I have no idea.
Well, not letting Boba Fett have his way in any sort of sense or form, well, it won't go well later on.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting is that they refer to Boba, I think the droid did, as a daimyo, which is a Japanese word. I think it means lord in Japanese.
They call him Lord Fett.
Yeah, and then some of them called him like daimyo, which is a Japanese term. So I thought that was interesting. So then later we have two Gamorrean bodyguards who show up. They're arrested and they're taken to Jabba's palace, and they're in chains. And instead of usually like executing former loyalists of Jabba the Hutt, or I think it was Bib Fortuna at the time, Boba decides to spare them to protect him. So that the Gamorreans end up being the bodyguards to Boba Fett. So that was interesting. Boba's now a crime lord, so he's got to protect his butt. So I mean, I guess he can't do it himself. He's got to get aid from other people as well.
Which is odd, considering Boba Fett has worked alone bounty hunting for his entire life, has had lots of enemies.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a weird dynamic to think about, but this is how Boba is now.
Mm-hmm.
So Boba goes to Mos Espa then, and goes to a cantina, and immediately takes off his helmet, which a little problematic for me to see.
That's actually my biggest problem and something I don't understand, especially if you're outside your palace and you're now the crime lord and your armor, I believe it's now Beskar for some reason. So he might want to keep that helmet on until he returns to his palace.
Yeah, because now everybody knows what you look like underneath the armor, so it's kind of like it defeats the purpose right then and there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there goes the Mandalorian armor or the honor right there.
That too.
And it's 19 minutes into the start of the series. So problematic right then and there. That part. So it he ends up giving his helmet to get cleaned by a Twi'lek attendant, and then they come back to bring the helmets filled with coins and stuff as tribute from the Cantina people to him. The head of Cantina her name is Gara. She's the owner of the bar and gives back Fett's helmet and fills it up with coins.
Hmm.
So right there, we have some other dealings that are going on with Boba Fett. So what do we think about this?
Henson?
Well, in regards to how Boba Fett is acting, I mean, I guess you can say being in the. I mean, we already see a change in attitude with him here. He's acting completely different than how he was, pre Sarlacc. And in regards to him taking off his helmet, well, I mean, he did spend the last. What was it, 6 years or so without it?
Well,
So I'd say he doesn't necessarily need it at this point. And also, at least in terms of new canon, Boba Fett's, at least as far as I know, has never really cared that much about his Mandalorian heritage. Again, at least as far as I'm aware.
Well, even excluding that, Boba Fett, when he came to his bounty hunter career, he tried to stay as much of a unknown as possible, so that no other enemy would get any sort of advantage over him, both in terms of his background and also in who he is and what he can do. So one of the reasons why he wears the armor is that nobody could know who he is behind that armor. Only very, very few people even saw his face underneath it. So, and when he didn't have the armor, when it was stripped by Jawas, nobody would really recognize him as Boba Fett, because what makes him recognizable is the armor, not really the face underneath it. And that's because he never removed the helmet when he used the armor before. So that's why, which is why I see it as very puzzling that he removes it now wearing the armor like that. It's weird.
I don't know. I don't really see it as weird. At this point, he's on a different career path. He's already had the helmet off for so long. And besides, like I said, it's not like he's the same person he was pre-Sarlacc pit. I mean, he's weaker. He has a completely different outlook on life.
Well, that much, yeah.
And also, he's just a terrible fucking crime boss. Like, he can't make decisions to save his fucking life.
It makes
Now, you see, there's the question that I want answered. Why be a crime boss?
and
That's a good question.
Because at the end of Mando Season 2, when he kills Bib Fortuna and, basically takes the reins, it wasn't explained what the hell or why the hell he was doing that. And with this episode, we see that he can't make any, decisions on his own without a Fennec, and he can't fight on his own, at least at the moment, because, still, yes, PTSD, hasn't been training, I don't know. But the point in all that is, this isn't the same Boba Fett, and there's still plenty to explore in regards to how we got to this point, because, again, we got 6 years worth of time to explore.
Yeah, and at least this episode shows us that we're gonna be seeing what happened in between his escape from the Sarlacc pit to now in the present.
Oh yeah, definitely. So continuing on from there, because there was a couple of things that we mentioned that I do want to mention. So as Boba and Fennec leave from the cantina, Boba wants to rule with respect. That's something that he mentions specifically, which is very different than what we expect from Boba Fett. You would think he was more
Cunning, ruthless.
cunning or angry, ruthless. But as Henson said, this is a different Boba Fett, and we'll explore that. Why this sudden change is it the Mando who kind of changed him from there, or was it something else that happened in his life? We don't know. So that's something that is interesting to see why in the world he wanted to rule out of respect in the first place, considering his past is anything but that. So yeah, and as this is going on, this whole episode, Fennec is giving advice to Boba, and Boba rejects it throughout and does his own thing. So it's like, what's the point of Fennec being there if she can't even give her own input or opinion on things? So it kind of defeats the purpose of her, even though she's a really talented assassin. And I really like the actress who plays as her. I really liked her character in general. But it's just that, like, what's her point? You know, if she's
Bodyguard.
just going to be a hired gun and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, that's something else that they need to explore here.
Mhm.
What's their relationship? Because surely there was a reason he saved her life in Mando season 2. Like, at least when first season of Bad Batch was coming out, I was thinking we were going to see her and Boba meet up and set up this. I think that's something else that should be touched upon is there's gotta be some kind of past between these two. Like, there's gotta be something.
Right, and they need to do more of an explanation on Fennec in general because it's not just Boba Fett, but it's also Fennec as well.
Mm,
Yeah.
indeed. So, continue the Django.
Yep. So yeah, so Boba just says he wants to rule of respect, and he's giving his talk, and then all of a sudden, assassins show up, and they box them in with these shields, and they can't counter at all, at all. And Boba has this jetpack, and he can't get out of there. Nothing until the Gamorreans come in, and then they start breaking up the shields altogether and the assassins. And then Boba and Fennec start countering and attacking these assassins. And I was still baffled by the idea of like Boba having a jetpack and not using it or getting out of that situation. That was a little baffling to me. But during that whole thing, Boba actually left pretty early, and Fennec actually chased the other two assassins that were left. And Boba is just in a terrible state. He's weakened after the whole fight, and he wants to get taken back to the Bacta tank immediately. So the two Gamorreans take him back to the Bacta tank, and he's just strapped on there, while Fennec Shand goes and gets the two assassins getting after Boba. And Fennec actually gets one alive.
Wait. I just realized something. So in this fight, apparently Boba Fett is not as strong, right? He didn't even use jetpack or all his other armament and stuff. But wait, in Mandalorian Season 2, he was kicking so much Stormtrooper ass, and he wasn't even tired. So how is it that in there, which is chronologically like what days, weeks before this, how is it that in there he's stronger, but in here he's like can't even keep up or even use a jetpack? Because I'm pretty sure he used that in Mandal Season 2. I'm pretty sure of it. Or at least used all his missiles and everything.
I mean, he did use the missile the once. I mean, it's not like there was any real chance to use any of his gadgets and gizmos, given how close the assassins were.
Flamethrower.
I mean, they had shields,
Yeah.
but in regards to him being weak, I would agree, but because I think they're planning on going through that, explaining why he's like this, because there's got to be a reason that after getting out of the Bacta tank at the start of the episode, he's weak. There's got to be something there. Maybe there's not, but so far with Mandalorian and also Filoni's other shows, there is a level of consistency throughout them. I don't believe this would have been an oversight or a mistake. I do believe there is a point here. I could be wrong, but for now I'm gonna hold judgment until, the end of the season.
Okay. Django, continue.
Yeah, so we go back to the Bacta tank where Boba is at, and then he has more visions of his past. So it continues with him being dragged by a Tusken kid to an outpost, which is attacked by bandits. Then he's forced to dig for water, which is found in these like these little like pots in the sand, like scattered in the sand or something. I've never heard of anything like that, but okay, whatever. So the Rodian is finding all of these pods, and Boba is like having a hard time, but he does manage to get one and drink some of the water. So after that, the Rodian manages to find something else in the sand, and he's digging it up, and it's like a freaking claw. And then a monster emerges and kills the Rodian and attacks them, including the Tuscan kid as well. And Boba manages to choke it out and kills it, and makes the kid make look like the hero in the end because this tough monster. I mean, no way that this kid could kill it. The kid brought back the head of the monster and back to the village, and they all celebrate it. But one of the Tuscans knows that, yeah, I don't think this kid could do it, and I think it's the chief, and he gives Boba the water, and he's like he celebrates, and the episode ends from there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, what do you guys
So,
think?
Yeah, and in regards to the monster we saw, I'm sure this wasn't intentional, but I love that it just felt like a Harryhausen esque monster. It just felt like something you would see in one of his movies. The way it moved, its design, for sure. That was really great. And also, it was great to see Boba Fett in action. Granted, he had a limitation in the form of being chained to the Rhodian, but yeah, he was great, and I think this also goes to show you that there is a reason he's weaker in the present because we see right here that he's perfectly capable. So that just I think further adds to the point that there's an explanation for that.
There better be one. So, had to see the Django?
yeah, so I like the fight, and I at first I thought this was gonna be like a crate dragon or something.
Mm,
Like the way it was shot, it looked like it was gonna be like ginormous or something. I mean, it was still a big monster in the end, but nowhere near the size of a crate dragon, by at all. Um, I thought it was kind of like a mini version of it, but it was still a challenging fight, and even for Boba, and he managed to choke the shit out of it and kill it from there. But yeah, for me, like I'm more interested in the past with Boba Fett than in the present. Present, I'm just not. I don't really care too much about the crime stuff, like the crime lord stuff. But the past, like I just feel like the way it's written and presented is just way more engaging than the present day stuff.
Speaking of that, this does make me wonder. Do you guys think because I'm starting to think that maybe the present stuff is a bit of a not filler, but definitely just kind of an excuse for to tell the past of Boba Fett in some way. It's starting to kind of feel like it. I hope we actually see more of the present after we already got in the past, and not just purely past present combined. So, cause so far it seems like the Book of Boba Fett is more like telling how he escaped the Sarlacc, being what he was doing from that time to now the present, instead of actually tackling what's gonna do in the present. At least more so focusing on the past. I don't know if you guys think like that, or if you guys think differently about it.
I disagree.
Mm.
If they really wanted to set a Boba Fett story post Jedi after he gets out of the Sarlacc pit, they could have easily done it. And they wouldn't have needed to have done all this. I think that they wanted to tell a Boba Fett story, and setting it after Mandalorian gave them a good reason to kill two birds with one stone. You can tell the story of how Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc pit and what he'd been doing for those 6 years, while also continuing the story set up by Mandalorian season 2. Could the past stuff have been its own show? Sure. But this way, again, you can kill two birds with one stone.
You can do it. Let's just hope one of those birds doesn't overtake the other one. That's what I'm kind of concerned.
Yeah. So, any more thoughts you guys want to discuss about this episode?
Hmm. Well, I'll say this. I did find it a bit interesting how apparently Boba Fett is like so manly enough. Like he finds one of the containers with the water in the sand, and instead of like just straight up giving it already to the Tuscan child, he's like, "Hey, I need some water. I'm gonna drink it." And the child's like forcibly has to take it and just drink it to the to his freaking rider. Like Like holy shit. Like I found that interesting that even unchained, even just being forced to scavenge for water in sand, Fred's still gonna be like some sort of a badass, no matter what. I did find that
Yeah,
interesting.
and
You got anything to say, Henson?
I'll just say I wish that he had kept the scars from the Sarlacc pit's acid. I mean, I understand, healing him because, I mean, this is the Star Wars universe. Bacta tanks can kind of do that. But I think it would have been cool to have a visual and physical reminder of that.
I don't remember if in the I know in the EU he had scars for like a year, maybe two. I don't know if later on they actually healed. As far as I know, did they ever heal the Django in the EU?
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Okay, so no idea in there, but in here, then yeah, I guess could have got something. I guess his bald hair would be one because I don't think he was bald before. Well, I don't think he was bald before falling to the Sarlacc pit.
No, it's just a different look.
Yeah, so there's that. Anyway, so yeah, I don't think we got anything else to say to Django.
Okay, so let's get on with the conclusion then. Starting with CJ.
Okay, so Book of Boba Fett, definitely very interesting first episode on where Boba Fett is going to be taken after the events of Mandalorian Season 2. Definitely like that we finally saw him go escape the Sarlacc pit and seeing what Fett's now up to task. We'll see if he proves being a good crime lord or a bad one. We'll have to see later on. So, yeah, interested in seeing more. So yeah, that's all for me.
Henson?
Overall, I really like this episode. I'm glad, unlike Mandalorian, we didn't get this, like, mega shocker hook to pull everyone into it. I'm glad that we just got a nice, solid start that didn't feel the need to give us any kind of hook. Tamora Morrison, amazing as always. Love that guy.
Hmm.
And yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes.
Yeah. So I'm with you guys. I thought it was a pretty good start, pretty solid. Nothing groundbreaking or just like cliffhanger at the end, but it did keep me into it, and it was pretty short. It was 39 minutes, so I think each episode of Mandalorian season 2 was like 40, 50 minutes, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to be around the same this TV show, and we still have like what six more episodes left of this TV series to see what happens with Boba Fett's past and what he'll be as a crime lord if he'll be a successful one or just revert to being a bounty hunter. We'll just see in the end. But I thought it was pretty good, and I'm very much looking forward to the future with this show. So, yeah, that's our discussion on episode 1. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll be doing episode 2 pretty shortly as well. Once we watch that and do our discussion, that's going to be coming out the week after. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to please like this video and, take care.
Bye bye.
Yeah.